To trade, Nigeria's foreign trade balance leapfrogged to a surplus of $1.1 billion in the fourth quarter of 2021. This as export value surpassed import bills for the first time since the third quarter of 2019, representing 8 consecutive quarters of a negative trade balance. This, according to data on foreign trade obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria. According to this data, Nigeria's international trade balance increased significantly from a deficit of $327 million to the surplus of $1.1 billion in the fourth quarter. Joining us to discuss further is Arise business analyst Chika Unborn. Chika, you're very welcome. Good morning to you, sir.
Hi, today.
Fantastic. Good to have you, sir, as usual. Where we want to start? Trade or interventions?
Trade is about trade.
Trade, yeah. What do you make of the trade figure?
We have said in this program before that Nigerian economy is not difficult to analyze.
Right.
That what does she do? Is start looking for where oil is.
Once you find the oil,
once you find
the trade numbers.
The number of barrels per day times the price of oil. You will be able to analyze Nigerian economy. And the truth is the analysis has shown export earnings actually fell. But the surplus we had arose from the fact that import bills, fell
further than export.
Okay. Whereas exports fell by about 3% today, about import fell about 13%. So that's how we had that surplus. So our appetite to consume anything that is imported has not waned. It is still high up there. And that speaks to Nigerian economy.
Yes.
And no matter, if you go through the past literature in the last 30, 40 years, that we have had oil as a core earner for our economy, what you always see is, we need to diversify the economy. We need to push away from oil.
Yes.
And whereas that the share of oil to the overall GDP has been falling, as I keep talking about in this program.
Yeah.
At the time, it was up to 20%, but it's a paltry 10% now. The impact on oil foreign exchange earning is still massive, about 90%. The impact of the gross total revenue for the country is also massive, more than 60-70%. And so anything you're analyzing must always talk about oil. So if you look at the trajectory of oil prices, and you will find that in 2019, you remember with the onset of COVID, the oil prices tanked and also recovered a little towards 2020 and become a little more solid in 2021. And towards the end of 2021, it became stronger. And then with touched the $100 per barrel that we experienced in 2022. So you can see, therefore, the impact of oil on our export earnings. So on the quantum basis, it has had a positive impact on our trade surplus. But the issue is still our propensity to consume everything that's imported has wiped away any gains that were made from those export earnings. Starting from, again, the number one thing, the fuel consumption.
Exactly.
Well, be that as it may, this speaks also as to the weak manufacturing base of our country. That literally most things that we do here are consumed.
Right.
We thank God that cement was substantially, we're almost getting to the net export of cement now. And we're hoping that we'll have the capacity for a nation of 200 million people, fantastic arable land, young, massive young youth population, who our manufacturing base is supposed to be and higher than it is.
Right.
And that will have a lot of impact in reducing our import bills and creating a dependency on, using Nigerian-made products and starting from the government.
Right.
I talk about that here. That the government, for example, every year budgets billions of naira for importing of motor vehicles.
Right.
It is that from the innocence of this world, the pounds of this world, those who have a lot of impacts in our economy. Instead of just rushing to go and importing Toyotas and all those other imported vehicles, and making sure that the 10 trillion of budget that we have for our country, some part of it goes back into local production, and so that will help us, not using it to travel around the world and importing things from around the world. Let's focus more. Let's be insular and look into the country, and that will help the manufacturing base of our country and help our trade surplus.
Fantastic. And this, I guess, this is part of the CBN's race to 200 billion in exports in non-oil, right? So that's the emphasis.
I always preach that a nation that wants to diversify from oil, moving to non-oil exports, must focus on it, and in everything systematically. And I guess that's one of the reasons why CBN launched the program they launched for the race to $200 billion export repatriation, including things like FX rebate, including things like one very important one I love so much is a dedicated non-oil export terminal. If you look at the financial press in the last 2 or 3 days, you will see that because of the delays in the Apapa port, most exporters now are running away from Apapa towards Port Harcourt and Calabar because, the delays that we have in Port Harcourt, in Lagos. And so that's very important. So the CBN initiative in the non-oil export strategy is very important. And hopefully, when implemented, the right funding, the right commitment, it will help in at least reducing the 90% dependency on FX, on oil, down, marginally or at least substantially.
Great stuff. Since we're talking about the CBN, the governor saying interventions are important to aid the economy. What do you make of that?
The whole nation saw the Ankobora's success in the rice pyramids, despite the initial, issues and raised about whether the pyramids are real or not. And the CBN people guys had energy. I could see them actually showing pictures of how they started arranging the pyramid from ground zero, and started building it up minute by minute up to show that there's no paper. It's real, that. Nigerians are unbelievable. But see, the thing is this, that, as I keep saying, I said, when there was a lockdown in our country,
yes,
during COVID, 2020, when every nation locked down,
yes,
how did you survive in food? Where did the food come from?
Exactly. That's come from there.
Yeah. I told you, I analyzed the rice importation from Thailand, and substantially that during that period, it crashed. Even if you add the rice that comes from Cotonou and Cameroon, assuming all of them come to Nigeria, it's substantially had more than 1 million metric tons deficit. How did we meet it? It has come from local production. And so Nigerians better believe and support that and go back to farm instead of all the people walking around the streets. And the governors, I talk about them, must key into this.
State governors, right?
The state governors must key into this also and have initiatives, because each time what we hear is the state, the federal. And you never hear any initiatives from the states on creating employment. Employment that will last. And agricultural value chain is one of the areas that a lot of youth can actually be employed. And the subnational governments can actually participate in this, supporting the work of CBN. And CBN, I know, is willing to work with any state that ties into the value chain of agriculture.
Fantastic stuff. Arise business analyst Chika Mbon, thank you so much for talking to us about trade and interventions to aid Nigeria's economy. Chika, thank you so much. You're watching the Global Business Report here on Arise Newsroom.